In reference to the Sustainable Development Goal number 7, Uganda aims to ensure access to affordable, reliable and sustainable modern energy for all by 2030. As a country, we are richly endowed with natural resources in terms of energy, from abundant biomass, water, as well as peat and ideal solar, geothermal and wind energy potential. But the unsustainable use of available resources has, however, left the country with inadequate supply of energy. This situation is aggravated by often inefficient use of energy. In studio, I'm joined by Mr. Tumsime Isaac Ephraim, a certified energy auditor and current vice president of the Association of Energy Engineers, AEE, local chapter, and Energy Efficiency Association of Uganda, that is EEAU, and Engineer Vincent Ocho Oli, CEO EQA Consults Limited and past president, East Africa Federation of Engineering Organizations, Uganda, Institution of Professional Engineers, and myself, Engineer Idris Matusegawa by proximity, to examine the potential benefits of clean energy and energy efficiency, how you can save energy at home, and what the Clean Energy for a Better Life campaign is all about. Gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this wonderful dialogue. As I said, I'm an engineer now by
yes.
proximity, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll start with you, Isaac. Tell us about the mandate of your company, which is the AEE.
Well, the EAU has now been in existence for more than 8 years. And our mission is to foster research, knowledge and innovation in the practice of energy efficiency, quality practice of energy efficiency, and to enable engineers in the sector to get to know more about energy efficiency, but also to get certified in that aspect as well. So that's why we were set up. Yeah.
Brilliant. Engineer Vincent, you are from EQA Consults. What is your mandate as a consultant company?
Yeah, thank you, Ibis, for that question. EQA is a private consulting firm dealing mainly in energy, auditing, and also doing management and quality product standards, training, and also doing the certification of and helping companies who would want to satisfy their products, or want to get satisfied in the quality management systems or energy management systems. That's what my company does.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you at home, since now you know that you are in the right hands of engineers who know what they're talking about. To be part of the conversation, you can go to our social media platforms, that is on Facebook and Twitter. Look out for NTV Uganda, or myself, Idris Matusegawa, and chip in. If you are an engineer yourself and watching from home, you have the chance to chip in and tell us probably something that we haven't talked about, or just add on to what we are talking about. And the hashtag is Clean Energy. Don't forget that. Go to Twitter, Facebook, and share your views. Coming back to the conversation now, we have clean energy and energy efficiency. What's the difference, Isaac?
That's a very good question. Now, when we look at clean energy, we are trying to find a way to use a resource that is both renewable and that can be sustained over the long haul, so something like solar. And when we're looking at energy efficiency, we are basically saying, how can we save on the energy we are using? For example, if you are using lighting, the energy you need for lighting, surprisingly, is much less than what maybe Umeme supplies to you. So energy efficiency is basically about using energy efficiently. And energy could be electrical, it could be a stored resource like fuel, any form of energy. Just finding a way to use it efficiently is what energy efficiency is all about. Yeah.
Okay, and would you say that currently in Uganda we have enough supply of electricity and energy?
That's a very good question. There is a debate in the circles, in energy circles, that we have significant generation capacity, but not enough individuals, or not enough of it is being consumed, so we have a lot of deemed energy. But if all these individuals get connected, or the access, which is a percentage more than 80%, we are going to have a challenge with the current generation capacity we have. So that's where energy efficiency fits in, making sure that whatever we are generating, we are using it what its specific need and not wasting it.
So you would say that right now Ugandans are using energy overly than they should be.
Exactly. They are not using it efficiently.
Dear me God. And I'll go to Engineer Vincent. When we talk about the campaign, Clean Energy for a Better Life, how are you involved as EQA in this campaign?
Yeah, as I told you, remember I said my company helps companies who want to save energy through energy auditing. And when we carry out energy audits, we find out where energy is being wasted and then make recommendations for that energy which is wasted to be used efficiently.
Yeah.
And so by so doing, we are helping the energy efficiency to be applied in all the energy use areas where they are used, especially in the industries or even at the household levels, because you'll find someone is leaving lights on in a room where there's nobody. That is really wasting energy, and therefore that my company comes to educate people on such things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking about companies, you belong to the Energy Efficiency Association of Uganda. I know we talked about a little bit of your mandate and what the company does. Who belongs to this association?
Maybe I should start by correcting. Energy Efficiency Association is actually a collection of companies like EQA. I also represent Niman Technologies. It's also an energy auditing firm and engineering firm, both IT and energy engineering. Those who are part of EAU at the current time are mostly engineering firms and engineering professionals like yourself.
Of course.
But with our affiliation with AEE International, which is the Association of Energy Engineers International, we've begun to see that there are people like you, people in the banking sector, people in the health sector, who are interested in the aspects of energy efficiency. And we are beginning to realize that we need more of those members on our membership. So currently, whoever is or has an interest in energy efficiency as a topic and would like to get to know more about energy efficiency, or how they can practice or how they can contribute in their organizations, are welcome. Yeah. And
the mission would be?
The mission would be for them to, number one, to get an understanding about why energy efficiency is so important, and how they can contribute to it wherever they are in their different spheres of influence. So that would be the mission. And for the engineers, the mission would be to improve their careers prospects through certifications, trainings, and continuous professional development. Yeah.
Okay, indeed. Now, for me who is at home, and I'll go to Engineer Vincent, I do not know about energy and where it comes from. How do I save? Is it simply by buying an energy saver bulb and that's it? What are some of the other ways that I can actually contribute towards energy efficiency use?
You're talking at a household level, for example.
At household level.
Yes. Yes, by first of all, I've mentioned it, by buying an efficient bulb, you're already making some
I told you I'm an engineer now.
Yes, you're making improvement in the energy saving. But of course, when at a household level, you find people are boiling water. They boil water which they may not even use at that time. So it is better for you to boil water which is exactly you're going to use at the right time. And also boiling water also you may use a heater which does not have a thermostat, something which can switch it off when the water is boiled. So you boil for a longer time, you consume a lot of energy. You have fridges at home. You find children opening the fridges and leaving them open while the fridge is running on. So that energy is being wasted. So that is how, by closing the door of the fridge, you are saving energy. And also your fridge should also be having a thermostat, something which you can, when the set temperature has been reached, can switch it off automatically, so that the excess energy is not wasted. You can also find people ironing. You iron a shirt now, in the evening or after some few minutes, a child picks the iron, flat iron, goes to irons a cloth. But when you're going to iron, you should be able to plan so that you have clothes and iron them at once instead of using them intermittently. By so doing that, you are wasting a lot of energy. And then you also find switches, main switches. Maybe a gadget is connected, but it's not running, but the main switch is left on. By being left on, energy is being consumed, and therefore you're wasting. If you're not using that gadget, switch off from the main, so that you don't waste that energy.
What about at industrial level? And also, who are the most consumers of energy in Uganda, probably, and also what kind of energy sources are available? I know I mentioned them a little bit, but for more details from an engineer.
Yeah, there are many energy sources. Of course, the most one is from the hydro, the electricity we are using. There are people also who use generators. Those are using diesel, for example. There are those who also use solar. It's another source of energy. You can also use a fuel, this biomass, by burning maybe wood and so on. There are so many other sources of energy. Then, of course, our industries, there are those heavy industries which use a lot of energy. And therefore, there's need for them to do that saving. But of course, they need to have an expert, an energy auditor, who can be able to identify where energy is being wasted and then make recommendations to replace the inefficient equipment. You can find old motors which are consuming a lot of power, but they don't do much work. So that energy is being wasted. So you better they buy more energy efficient technologies which can be able to help them to save the energy which they're using. But of course that needs an expert to identify the areas where there's significant use of energy and make recommendations so that they can be able to replace those equipment which are obsolete and consuming a lot of power. Yeah.
Isaac, SDG 7 has a timeline, which is 2030. Does this campaign have a timeline, or is it going to be an ongoing campaign for life?
I would like to think it has a timeline, but of course it has several parts of it that feed into the SDG 7, because all this is to ensure that countries are moving towards that particular goal, which is to have sustainable energy, to have clean energy as mainstreamed. Yeah. And that's what I believe. But GIZ would obviously be the better person to answer this question. But that's what I would believe.
Well, you're pitching on live TV.
Yeah.
They should be listening.
Yeah, but I really love what they're doing. The advertisements are very good for the average person who's not an engineer, you know, educating them on energy efficiency. And I think that this should even go beyond the advertisement, even going to education, even to the level of maybe secondary schools, universities, educating the younger generation about why their role as stewards of the environment and how they can contribute through pursuing clean energy and energy efficiency as well. Yeah. Yeah.
The campaign is clean energy. I know we have talked about energy efficiency and what a person like me who is at a household level can do towards that. What are the available clean energy opportunities that we have in Uganda?
Well, I think the biggest one is solar. Solar is really the mainstay in a developing country like Uganda, because of our location along the equator, the very good sunshine illuminance and irradiance that we receive throughout the year. So solar usually is the no-brainer. But in areas like in northern Uganda, we are beginning to see the growth of wind energy as well. That's also beginning to come into the different portfolio of energy generational renewable energy sources. So in my mind, those would be the quick two that we could look at. Maybe engineer Ocho could talk about maybe additional. Are there any additional? Those are the two ones that come to mind immediately.
Engineer Vincent, any other opportunities that we have as a country for clean energy? Apart from the...
Yes, of course, there's the hydro, the electricity is one of the clean energy, which is very abundant. We have a lot of hydro areas, places where we can generate energy from, using our River Nile, which is there. And as I know, government has so many sites which they are proposing to generate power from. So that's one of them. Yes, the other could be... I think mainly that, although it's talking about the wind power, but still at very low rate. But especially in the hilly places where you can have a lot of the wind speed being high, it can be generated maybe in the west. You can do that. Yes.
From a layman's level, or surface level, we might look at it as an opportunity to save energy and probably save expenses that I have to spend on umeme, etc. But what other ways is energy efficiency going to better someone's life?
Yeah, you know, when you use energy efficiently, you are making it available for others because you're not wasting. That energy which you would have wasted when you're using it wastefully, will be now be able to be given to another person to use, or most of our industries which are coming up, they can use that energy. And also when you don't use energy efficiently, you of course you are going to, let us say you are generating carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. These are gas depleting, ozone depleting gases, which also affect, you know, the climate change. You have heard of climate change. The temperatures have risen. The waters, the ice have melted, and you get to overflooding in areas. So by using energy efficiently, you are eliminating those kind of dangers to the climate. Yes.
Might I ask some of the challenges that you have faced, probably as an association? You might not be mandated to regulate the levels of energy that are used, but what are some of the challenges that other partners have faced towards educating people towards energy efficiency usage?
Yeah, of course, you know, the first most important thing is behavior change. If people don't have that change of behavior in how they use energy, it becomes difficult. So first of all, the most important thing is to change the behavior of people. And that is a very difficult thing. You know, when people have grown, it's very difficult to change their mind. But maybe what we could propose now, the government should start by educating the young ones at school from primary level, so that when they grow up, they will have that mentality of energy saving. Yes.
Because it is important.
Yes, very
Isaac,
important. It's very important.
What I know you have been studying in the UK, is it? And also South Africa now?
Yes.
Can you share some of the experiences that in these different countries, apart from ours, of course, how are they moving towards energy efficiency at household level, industrial level?
Okay, I'll share my experience from Sweden, first of all, then also from the United States. Now, in Sweden, there was something very interesting that I found there. Energy efficiency is not something that is new to them. They have challenges. You know, when they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and because they have challenges with energy which we may not experience right now, they have to begin to think, how can we utilize the little that we have to do what we need, lighting, heating, powering small loads, but then not waste it. So one of the things I found is that they have academies for children where they take children through what is energy efficiency in layman's terms for that particular age group. And once they do that, the children begin to understand how what their contribution is, and you can actually see it when you see the news, and how these children are actually getting engaged at such an early age in the COP26 or the previous COP conferences, as they are talking very vividly about what energy efficiency is about. But also on the policy side, their governments have taken this very seriously. The International Energy Agency, which is one of the agencies that is the go-to place for the different developments that are happening in the sector, produced a report on the multiple benefits of energy efficiency in 2019. And in that report, they categorized several benefits. And you could see from that report that these organizations have, I mean, for example, like in Sweden, they have understood that if they want to do away with the generational capacity, for example, to build a dam and the corresponding transmission lines, the easiest, the cheapest energy is the energy you're not using. So they understand that very clearly from a policy level. So in their policies, they have structured it such that organizations, commercial buildings, facilities that are consuming at a specific level of energy consumption, they have to do mandatory energy audits. That's one. Number two, they have the ISO 50001. Most people know ISO 90001 and 14000, which are about health and quality, but they have mainstreamed ISO 50001, and it's like part of what they do. So energy efficiency is not something new. So when we come to Africa, and specifically in Uganda, we have that challenge that energy efficiency is not like solar. If I put a solar system, immediately you will see light. Immediately you will start powering your loads. But energy efficiency is not like that. Energy efficiency is you're going to set up, for example, efficient lights, for example, for your studio. And then at the end of the month, you're going to realize that, oh, we have actually saved 5 million Uganda shillings. It's not something you see immediately. So it takes...
It's long term.
Yeah, so it is not something that is very quick
Instant.
to see. Yeah, it's something that is long term, and that's where the other countries understand and actually practice it very effectively. I also saw that also in Sweden, in South Africa. It's the same thing as well. They are putting a lot of resources to make sure that, because they have a big challenge there, they have power cuts happening almost every day of the month, and so they are saying, how can we utilize the little energy that's being generated? How can we utilize it efficiently? So they have those policies in place. They have they take the certifications for engineers very seriously. The professionals there are very well developed, and they are practicing how to help organizations, facilities to save energy, and it's really big there. We are beginning to see that happening in the region, specifically in Kenya, and in Uganda it's
gradually
growing. Yeah, it's growing. Yeah. Thank you.
Engineer Vincent, Isaac has mentioned something quite important, that in the countries he has been, governments are engaged intimately in improving and promoting energy efficiency. What can our own government here, as the head policymaker, do towards pushing energy efficiency in the country and also clean energy?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, as a government, the main role of government is to bring policies and regulations. But at the moment, I don't think we have any policy on a mandatory energy audits or energy efficiency procedure, laws which can enable or may force the users to be able to use the energy efficiently. So that's the first thing the government needs to do, so that we can have that in place, and then it can be able to be enforced. The other one is, of course, I know in this promotion, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development is involved in the energy promotion, this promotion we are doing here. So government, I think, of course, is the responsibility of government, first of all, to provide the power for electricity, power generally for economic development of the country. And therefore they have a role now to make sure that the energy we produce is used efficiently, so that can be available for many users. Yeah. So ministry and the government should be able to have that policy in place, so that we can be able now to be able to do the help for, especially people who are now certified energy auditors in this country. We have quite a number who can be able to work with the ministry, and then we'll be able to audit energy users in the industry, especially in the industries where there's a lot of energy use. So that we start from there, and then we start telling them how to be efficient, use the energy efficiently, and be able to save. You know, when you use energy efficiently, you will reduce only the money which is being used for generation. Because now, if what you are generating now, you are not using them properly, you end up wasting, and then the demand for more is there, and therefore you have to invest in generation, so that you can produce more. But once you use energy efficiently, definitely you are going to reduce that cost, because the energy will not be wasted. You are also contributing to the improvement of the environment. They will not be degraded because of the pollutions and so on, by burning charcoal, for example. So people will be able to use the green energy, clean energy.
Clean cook stuff and clean energy.
Isaac, you were saying?
There's also there is also a mistake that we take when we talk about energy efficiency. We usually consider the electrical energy efficiency, but there's also efficient cooking. So we have efficient cook stove that use briquettes instead of using charcoal. We can also use biogas, and those are areas that people don't look at. Another one that's an initiative I think that the ministry is pushing is the use of electric pressure cookers. Because if you are trying to, for example, cook beans and you are boiling them in the open, you need a lot more energy to cook those beans. But if they're in an electric pressure cooker, the pressure lowers the amount of energy. The creation of a vacuum in that pressure cooker lowers the amount of energy you need to cook those same beans. So that's another initiative. So efficiencies, as I said at the beginning, is not purely just electrical, but goes to even transportation. I look forward to a time when we have electric cars here in the country.
In the country?
Yeah, but, well, that's a dream.
We shall wait for others to do that. Okay, we can be hopeful. We can be hopeful.
No, you must be hopeful.
Indeed. Engineer Vincent, you've talked about policy and government, how it can come in and set policies that are going to push for energy efficiency. How about in terms of infrastructure? Are we ready? Or is there something that needs to be done?
Infrastructure, of course, we have the basic infrastructure for power generation, for example, and the distribution we have. And in fact, if the policy is in place, it will even make the infrastructure we have to be more efficiently used, because the government has invested a lot, you know, in the power generation, in the transmission and distribution. Yeah, it will help.
Indeed. Isaac, some of the policies that you mentioned where governments I think in the UK, teach children to understand the importance of energy efficiency. We have a syndrome here in Africa generally where we are reactive. What are some of the disastrous calamities that have been caused by not using the right energy, probably not the clean energy, and preferring other sources of energy, and also not understanding how important energy efficiency is?
Well, the biggest one would be what we are experiencing now around the world is, you know, if you're a farmer, and I happen to do farming, you have begun to experience a change in the way the patterns in the weather have been from the past. Because you usually would expect that rain would come in a specific month at the beginning of the year. Like, for example, in Kayunga, we were expecting rain to come between January and February, but that whole time from December to February there was no rain. So as a farmer, you immediately feel the pinch, and that's the problem when we don't use energy efficiently and we get into all this form of waste, or when we get into the use of energy sources that are not clean. It affects the person who is actually engaged with, depending on the natural condition. But also beyond that is the pollution. It was interesting when we were in Washington at the AEE summit, and we had this lady from China who was talking about what China has been doing in their push towards clean energy and energy efficiency. And one of the biggest challenges that China had at the time was the air pollution. It was very, very unhealthy to be in China at that time. I think it was around maybe 2014, 2015, or beyond that. But when they began to understand how the use of energy sources that are not clean, and in combination or and ignoring energy efficiency, how it affected the health of their people, they got into aggressive campaigns to move towards cleaner energy sources, but also towards energy efficiency. And as she began to do the presentation and show the transition between the China at that time and the China in 2019 when we were there, or 2018, you could see that actually this is very serious and people need to take it very, very seriously. So those are the two things that would quickly come to mind, the dangers that we have. Another one is what's happening in northern Uganda. We are slowly moving towards desertification. If we don't stop the deforestation that's happening in that area, very soon, if we don't begin to become aggressive about using clean sources, foresting areas that have been deforested, we are going to have a serious challenge on our hands in the near future. So those are the immediate ones.
Engineer Vincent, anything to add on to what Isaac was saying?
Yeah, of course. You know, you have been experiencing different weather patterns in this country, as you have said. By now, actually, we should be expecting rains and people have planting.
Indeed.
But it's not happening. But why? The causes are actually, sometimes, most of it is man-made, because we are using energy as if it is not a depleting source which can get depleted. Yes. So we must be mindful of how we use energy, how we use our environment, cutting trees and so on, without planting more trees. So it becomes very dangerous for us as a country and as the entire world is. Yeah.
Would you say we are a relaxed country towards creating awareness for energy efficiency?
We may not be a relaxed country, but maybe we just need to push in more. And in fact, that's why now the ministry has started this promotion. We are seeing that we are not moving the right direction towards as the environment is concerned, because of our behaviors, because of how we use our natural resources. So now government has come in to promote the efficient use of energy and also using clean energy.
What are some of those energy sources I should be able to avoid using?
Yeah, of course. Now, in our country here, most of people use charcoal. I'm sure you use charcoal at home.
Of course.
Yes. So when you use charcoal, you know where the charcoal comes from.
Yeah.
The trees are cut and they're burnt, and as they're burnt, they also pollute the environment. And as we cut those trees, we don't plant them. So that is the first one which government should put in place, where we can have better use of briquettes in these stoves, which can be more efficient. We can use the pressure cookers, the electric pressure cookers, so that we can be able to save our environment, and we don't fall into the trap we are in. Yeah.
Isaac?
Yeah, he's very spot on. Personally, I moved away from charcoal completely because I now understand what that means. Because if anyone needs to be changed, the change has to start with you. And if you are listening to this program right now, please consider moving slowly away from charcoal. I know it's very convenient,
and cheap.
It's cheap, but actually one of the things that I hope that the ministry, together with the partners GIZ, would do, which Kenya has successfully done, is to mainstream LPG gas, because LPG gas has similar, characteristics as charcoal. It's convenient. The only issue is that it's expensive, and if there's a policy towards completely avoiding charcoal in the household use, then LPG gas would be the immediate solution, of course, apart from electricity. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
You mentioned something earlier about in China how the government realized that its people were having health complications because of not using energy efficiently, and then pollution, etc. What other diseases or health complications can we get from not using the right energy sources, and probably also not enforcing energy efficiency?
Well, the quickest one for anyone to notice would be the respiratory diseases, because when the air quality is not good, immediately you will face it. Children begin to have strange asthma-like conditions and coughs and flus and things like that. Without knowing it, the issue is actually the air pollution. And a study was done for women, because women are the ones who suffer the most, because they are always in the kitchen doing the preparation. And a study was done in Kenya, and they discovered that a lot of the women were dying young because of the issue of lung diseases. And when they got to investigate, they realized that actually the women are the ones who go out looking for the fuel sources for cooking, which is in that case was firewood. And as they do the cooking, they are in the kitchen inhaling that smoke, and before long they succumb to those diseases. So that's the immediate one. And also the rise in health conditions such as asthma, although sometimes asthma is genetic, but it can also be perpetuated through bad air conditions. Yeah.
Okay. Engineer Vincent, going back to some tips, because I know at home people are watching and they're wondering, oh my God, so this is indeed a problem, but what can I do at home? I know you mentioned it earlier, but we need to get more tips so that people understand how important this is.
Yes, thank you for that question. For us at household level, there are so many tips which can be able to give out to people, and then they can be able to use them. First of all, if the people listening out there now, first of all, what type of bulbs are you using? Are you using energy efficient bulbs? If you're not using energy efficient bulbs, you better go and purchase them and replace all those the lamps which consume a lot of power. The other one is about leaving lights on in rooms where people are not, especially at night, or even during daytime. You may find people leaving security light, they forgot to switch off. So those should be switched off. Where they are not being used, if the security lights should be switched off, maybe around 6 a.m., so that you save that light. I did mention about ironing. you should iron, you should be able to plan for your ironing. Get your clothes and iron them at once instead of ironing them after a very short period of time. Find someone getting 4 iron and to go and iron one shirt, that's a waste of energy. You better plan and use that efficiently. You plan and iron at once. The other one is about leaving main switches on when you're not using the gadgets. Maybe the TV is off, switched off, but the main switch is left on. So it's better you switch off from the socket. You switch it off. The other one is about you find the fridge running, but the doors are open. Or the fridge is running continuously because there's
only one apple.
Yes, one apple. Maybe there's even no temperature controller, a thermostat, because it reaches a certain low minimum temperature which it can switch it off and then maintain its cool. The coldness still maintained. The other one is about behavior change, as I said. You have to make sure that you inculcate into the children, especially, that when you're not in your room, switch the lights off. Switch the lights off. The other one is about also, we have talked about use of energy, charcoal, and as for cooking, you should be able to change. You can buy LPG gas and use it. Is more efficient. It can cook faster than even the charcoal, and it takes less time to cook. The other one is about using electric kettles, for example. You consume a lot of energy. You're boiling water which you're not going to use. Boil water is enough for you to use. And also use boilers which have heaters, which have thermostat, which can stop when the temperature is reached. The other one is about I think mainly those are the ones I can mention.
Probably we should start using our local pots, the ceramic pots.
Yeah, they conserve energy, by the yes, they conserve energy.
You boil at once, pour it in, and you're good to go.
The other one is about people, when you boil water and you want to cool, you put in the fridge when it's still steaming.
Yeah.
That is, you are going to generate, you are going to make the fridge work faster to lower that temperature. Yes. So the most important thing for you, you boil your water, let it cool, then you can put in the fridge. Yeah.
Another one also would be, it is very common in the secondary schools, I don't know why, but you know, you have this one shirt, you've washed it. You hang it somewhere.
As you should.
In the morning, it's not very dry. So what do you say? The quickest way? Flat iron.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're doing to the electricity bill. It's going up because now the flat iron has to work harder to not only dry but also to straighten out the shirt
and steam it out.
Exactly. So that's a very big no. Don't do that. It's very bad.
India Isaac, what is the top secret that you do to save energy at your home in your day-to-day life?
I think the biggest one is efficient appliances because, like it or not, it is easier for you to save energy with the things you use every day. And with what is happening now in the world, it's now very easy to quickly know that this is an efficient equipment. There are energy labels on I think most of the equipment that are on the market now. And I think it's IACRI, East African Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, together with UNIDO. They are now in the process of mainstreaming energy labels. If you've bought equipment from Kenya, you must have noticed this already. On every refrigerator, on every AC, on every television, they have that star rating. So what you're looking for is an equipment with a star rating A+ or A. Those are very good because those we won't be using every day. You will immediately see it. I'll give you an example. When I was still early on in marriage, we didn't have so much money. So we bought a second-hand fridge, as most people would do in that situation. And you know, every month our bill would be so high. I mean, you're paying over 100,000 on electricity. So I did a test. At that time, I was still a young engineer. I had not yet got the certification and got the knowledge that I have now. And for that specific period of the weekend, we turned everything off apart from the fridge. Immediately we came back, we found we had no units. So I said, let's do this. Let's do this.
They are depleted.
Yes, let's do the reverse. Let's leave some lights on and turn the fridge off. I can tell you, we had left, I think, about 20 or something units. We found 20 units remaining. So the culprit was the fridge. So to take it further, we said, let us go and buy a fridge. It's going to cost us some money, as usually efficient equipment will, but we are going to feel the effect, and that's another aspect I learned from Sweden, is what they call the life cycle cost. So life cycle cost is you're buying something expensively now, but then the cost over the lifetime of that equipment will pay you back, because if the fridge is saving you, say, 50,000 for lifetime, because efficient equipment are usually long life equipment as well. So in the lifetime of that equipment, you will be able to recoup back that money if you consider that, instead of considering this is cheap, let me buy this. And immediately we began to see that the bill actually was lower. This is even a bigger fridge, but because it was efficient, we were using less energy. That's one. The other one is what he mentioned about ironing. We plan our ironing. We say we are going to iron on this particular day. So by that day, if the clothes are not dry, we'll not iron those clothes. We'll iron only what is dry and use that. So that's the second one. The third one is also tied to efficient equipment, is lighting, because lighting is one of the biggest. If you are to do a pie chart of where is most of your equipment in terms of energy consumption is, apart from the fridge, you would find lighting is the next one. So buying energy efficient lights, and now they are becoming more common, not like in the past where it was very difficult. The most common were the CFLs ones, you know, those coiled ones, the ones you know. But if you buy energy efficient equipment and then you practice those things, that they are very simple things, but you'll be surprised what will happen to your energy bill at the end of the month. Yeah.
Well, Engineer Vincent, would you think that the government should make sure that all these gadgets that are coming in are certified, as Isaac mentioned?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, Ghana National Bureau of Standards has met standards on those energy efficient
minimum energy performance standards.
Yes, MAPS, minimum energy performance standards for those, and therefore also government through UNBS, they certify these products. First of all, the imports coming in, and also those which have been manufactured here, to be able to meet the requirements of those minimum energy performance standards. So government is already doing that, and so many standards have been developed in that area.
Well, for you at home who has just joined us, we are talking about clean energy and energy efficiency. Don't buy cheap things, because at the end of the day, they are expensive.
Yeah.
And to be part of this conversation, go to our social media platforms, that is on Twitter and Facebook. Look out for NTV Uganda or myself, Idris Matusegawa, and use the hashtag Clean Energy to contribute or ask a question that these engineers will be able to answer. Well, we shall be back right after this. Good afternoon. My name is Idris Matusegawa, and welcome back to our dialogue and talk about energy efficiency and clean energy. We've talked about how you at home can be able to save that yaka bill, and be sure to, buy the right equipment. Be sure to look at the labels, if they are certified, because at the end of the day, you might buy something that is cheap, but in the long run, is it? And I have engineers in studio who have been discussing this with me. Engineers, before we move on from all these tips that the viewers at home need to know, one thing that so many people would be asking themselves is that at the end of the day, how can I be sure that what I'm buying, yeah, I know you mentioned a little bit about it, but again, for the viewers to understand further, what am I buying? What if I'm buying, let's say, a bulb? How am I sure that it's actually going to save energy? And is it clean? Is it the right source, etc.? Just expound a little bit more on that, please.
Okay, we talked about it. Our neighbors, Kenya and most of the developed world, have come up with what they call an energy label. So on each appliance, usually on the fridge, it will be at the corner or the right-hand corner as you approach the fridge. For certain appliances, it will be on the side. Wherever it is, it has a code that is coded from green all the way to red. So in your mind, what you should be looking for is green, the green, where it points, because the arrow it keeps pointing to where this appliance is in terms of the scale of energy efficiency. Alternatively, you would be looking for an A or A+. That's what I would tell you immediately. Just look for an A or A+. These days you can easily see that. For lighting, it's pretty straightforward. You're looking for a LED, an LED light of a specific wattage of maybe between 20 or 40 watts, depending on your usage. For home usage, 40 watts is a bit on the high side. You're looking for maybe between 15 and 20 watts. That would give you the right amount of light, but at the same time not consume as much energy as probably if you had a tube, a CFL tube. Yeah.
Well, Isaac, staying with you, the Energy Efficiency Association of Uganda is one of the bodies that are pushing for awareness and probably regulation policies that would enable Ugandans to efficiently use the energy that is available. What is the eligibility of entering the association?
Well, thank you for that question. At the beginning, I said that we have begun to discover through our parent Association of Energy Engineers International that there are different individuals in the different sectors, in banking, in lawyers, doctors, who have interest in the aspects of energy efficiency, as we've been discussing. And as an association, we are beginning to open up our membership requirements, or requirements, and we therefore need anybody who is interested in aspects of energy, who would want to see this sector push forward. Obviously, the engineers would quickly understand what this is about and jump on board, but we've come to see that even there are people who are lawyers and doctors who also would be interested in saying, how can I, as a doctor in my association or in my organization, how can I be part of the move forward that is shifting the discussion of energy efficiency mainstay and making it a mainstay in the country. The thing is that also we have a membership fee for those individuals. So if you are a corporate organization, a company, we have a fee of about 250,000 that you pay, and then 100,000 that is renewed annually. Then if you're an individual engineer or individual member, you pay only 200,000 as a joining fee, then 100,000 that is paid annually. Then we have associate members. These are mainly people who are not engineers per se, but are interested and saying, you know, I want to be part of this. How can I be part of this? We also have membership for them. The details can be shared on our website, or you can contact us directly at our secretariat. Yeah.
Brilliant. Engineer Vincent, being a member of the EEAU, what benefits and what services am I going to get?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Being a member of EEAU, first of all, as you know, we are affiliated to the international body, that is the Association of Energy Engineers of USA. Yeah. And recently we also have an MOU with the Institute of Energy Professionals Africa, which is based in South Africa. And Uganda now, through our association, has been designated as a training center. And therefore, by being a member, we'll be able to benefit, first of all, from the expertise of the senior members from AEE, and also from the training which is there. There are so many other articles which are being shared because being a member, you benefit from that. And then the training. Sometimes there are trainings or webinars which are free. You attend and gain a lot of knowledge. So those are the benefits I get. And of course, associate with our people here with their companies. Through there, we exchange knowledge and be able to benefit from that. Yeah.
Then also, in addition to what Engineer Vincent has shared, is for especially the engineers who are in the sector, what we offer you is continuous professional development. So we have what you said, trainings, but certified training. So we have certified energy auditors, certified energy manager, renewable energy professional, certified energy water efficiency professional, and there's several. You can find them at the AEE website. That's one. But also we offer through our partners GIZ equipment, energy auditing equipment. So these are power quality analyzers, thermal imagers, multimeters, equipment that engineers would need to provide support to businesses, to provide support to facilities, to say, I want an energy assessment done at my facility. How can you help me? So we have certified energy professionals and equipment. So they do the assessment and give you a report and say, by the way, these are the areas where you are consuming a lot of energy, and here is where we believe you can actually save, and this is how you're going to do it. So those are the kind of benefits we provide as well.
And staying with you, the association has been in existence for quite some time now.
Yes, yes.
When was it established again?
It was established in 2015 officially.
2015.
But prior to that, 2013, there was a meeting in the Ministry of Energy to see how can we make the energy efficiency part of the energy sector generally, because renewable is really out there. It's promoted through solar and the other renewables. But energy efficiency is not really talked about, and yet it's very important. So back in 2013, the discussion starts 2015, it's set up, 2018 officially recognized by RSB as an association.
Okay, so what are some of those achievements that you have attained as an association since 2015?
Some have been mentioned by Engineer Vincent, but I'll go through them again. The first one is we have grown from just a small group of 5 to now 85 members. And among those 85 members, we have over 30 certified energy engineering professionals recognized internationally. I have a certification recognized internationally, that's one. The second one is we are now the local. In 2020, just before the lockdown, February 2020, we got officially chartered as the local chapter for the Association of Energy Engineers. So that's one. Second one. The third one is we now are an established training center, so we can be able to do, previously if you needed to do a certification as a certified energy manager or certified energy professional, you needed to either travel to South Africa or travel to Kenya or travel to the US. But now you can actually do it now here in Uganda. We now have that available. Also, in the years that we've been in existence, we have, through our partners, the Ministry of Energy and GIZ, been able to acquire equipment, as I've already mentioned, that we provide at a subsidized cost to those who are members of the association, especially engineers. And then lastly is, you know, usually associations depend heavily on donor funding to be able to support their initiatives. But because GIZ was very forward-thinking, they were able to challenge us and say, you people can be able to stand on your own, and these are the ways we believe you can do it. And we took them on that challenge, and as I speak now, we are able to fund our own activities. We don't depend 100% on donor funding, although we reach out to them if there are areas where we cannot be able to manage. But now we are an established association that is able to stand on its own to support people in this particular country as regards energy efficiency. Yeah. Okay.
Engineer Vincent, I'll come to you. With any important organization, association, leadership is very, very important.
Yeah.
And recently, I'm meant to know that you elected new people in different positions.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the list?
Yeah, of course, in any organization there must be leadership, and the leadership to steer the organization. Yeah, recently we had an AGM, annual AGM meeting, which was held on the 11th of March. It was held at the Silver Springs Hotel, and we elected the executives of the association. We elected the president, who was the Elvis Secretary, is our vice. Our vice is here. Then we have a treasurer. He's called Ibrahim.
Okay. Mutebi.
Yes, treasurer. Then we have board members, 2 committee members. I'm one of them. And then there is the Munanura.
Yeah, Leslie Munanura.
Yes, yeah. Those are the executives.
And the secretary is also Michael Muyinga.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And what should we expect from this leadership in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, of course, you know,
what's the strategy? The
strategy is, of course, we have a strategic plan, first of all, which will be followed to make sure that the association grows higher. And as you know, we started small, but now we are moving on from 5 people now to 85, and we are hoping to add on the numbers. And we have a vision for the association. We need to make it move higher than where it is now, and grow it from where the other past leaders have left it. Yeah.
Okay. Since I've become an engineer by association, when should I come to join?
Even now, you can come. You can come. Even now, you're welcome. Yeah.
Indeed. Engineers, as we wrap up this conversation, I'm going to ask you a lighter question. And I'll start with you, Engineer Vincent. In your career as an engineer, tell us one event or one thing that you've done and you felt so proud of it, something monumental, and how you can encourage the younger people to become engineers as we wrap up.
Yeah, there are many things I've done. From my career as a young engineer to now being a senior person in the profession. Of course, I've worked in the industry, and from there I've done a lot of innovations, installed many plants, and so on. And of course, I've also been the president of the Institution of Engineers in this country. So I've made a lot of contributions in that.
What can you tell the young person who's thinking, should I become an engineer or I shouldn't?
Yeah, engineering is a very nice profession. It's a profession which has challenges, and if you're a person like challenges, then engineering is the one for you.
Brilliant. And I know my director is telling me we are running out of time, but Isaac, I'll give you 30 seconds to say something to the youth, to the young people who probably wish to become engineers.
Well, I'll just give a short one. Engineers are they are the ones that make the world. The television you're watching right now is engineering, and many things. And I challenge young people to take up the challenge. As he said, if you're somebody who wants to say, there's this problem, I want to solve it using science, engineering, and math, then engineering is, math, science, chemistry, and biology, engineering is for you. And for me, as somebody who has been in the sector not as long as my colleague over here, it's an exciting time to be alive. There's so many things that are happening, and engineers are at the forefront of it. Elon Musk is my biggest fan.
Well,
I'm the biggest fan of Elon Musk. So.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, gentlemen, for having this wonderful and informative discussion right here. And you at home who has missed a little bit of what we were discussing, you can catch up with the discussion. Just go to our YouTube channel, that is NTV Uganda, and you'll be able to watch this discussion in full. But the conversation does not stop here. Go to our social media platforms, that is on Twitter and Facebook, and look out for NTV Uganda or myself, Idris Matusegawa, and share your views, share your questions, share your tips on how people can save energy. And remember, buy the right equipment and look out for the right sources of energy to use. Don't just use energy because you can. Well, goodbye and see you next time.